Have you ever had a dream so big, so audacious, that everyone around you thought you were crazy? A vision so clear in your mind, yet so invisible to the rest of the world? That's exactly where a man named Henry Ford found himself at the turn of the 20th century. Today, we know him as a titan of industry, the man who put the world on wheels. But before the sprawling factories, before the revolutionary assembly line, before the Model T became a household name, Henry Ford was just a man with an idea. He had no factory, no massive workforce, no piles of cash. All he had was a vision. This is the story of how that vision, against all odds, became a reality. It's a story of grit, failure, and the relentless pursuit of a dream that would change the world forever. Before he was the Motor King, Henry was a farm boy from Michigan. He hated farm work. The repetitive, back-breaking labor just didn't sit right with his mechanically inclined mind. From a young age, he was fascinated by how things worked. He would take apart his toys, and later, the watches of his friends and family, just to see the intricate dance of gears and springs inside. By the time he was a teenager, he had a reputation as a skilled watch repairman. But his ambitions went far beyond tiny clockwork mechanisms. He was captivated by the dawn of a new era, the age of the machine. At 16, he left the family farm for the bustling city of Detroit. It was like a playground for his curious mind. He took an apprenticeship at a machine shop, learning the ins and outs of industrial mechanics. Then he worked for the Westinghouse Company, servicing their steam engines. Every job was a lesson, every gear and piston a piece of a larger puzzle he was slowly assembling in his mind. But his real obsession, the one that kept him up at night, was the internal combustion engine. This noisy, sputtering, and frankly, unreliable new technology was seen by most as a novelty. A rich man's toy, but Henry saw something different. He saw freedom. He saw a way to liberate people, especially farmers like his father, from the drudgery of manual labor. He envisioned a car for the great multitude. So, what do you do when you have a world-changing idea but work a full-time job? You get a second one. After his long shifts as an engineer at the Edison Illuminating Company, where he literally kept the lights on for the city of Detroit, Henry would rush home to a small brick shed behind his house on Bagley Avenue. This shed was his laboratory, his sanctuary, his first factory. It was here, amidst tools, oil, and scrap metal, that his vision started to take shape, piece by painstaking piece. His wife, Clara, was his biggest supporter. She would often stay up with him late into the night, holding a lamp, her faith in him unwavering, even when his own might have faltered. Finally, in the early morning hours of June 4th, 1896, it was ready. A strange-looking contraption, made of a light frame, 4 bicycle wheels, and a 2-cylinder engine. He called it the quadricycle. There was just one problem. In his excitement to build his horseless carriage, he had forgotten to measure the doorway of his shed. The quadricycle was too wide to get out. Can you imagine that moment? Years of work, countless sleepless nights, all leading to this point, only to be blocked by a few inches of brick. But Henry Ford wasn't a man to be stopped by a wall. He grabbed an axe, and with a few swings, he made the doorway bigger. He smashed right through the obstacle. That night, he drove his creation through the streets of Detroit, a noisy, triumphant symbol of what was to come. He had built a car. But building one car is a world away from building a company. His first venture, the Detroit Automobile Company, was a failure. His investors were wealthy men who wanted to build luxury cars for other wealthy men. They wanted quick profits and handcrafted, expensive models. Henry's vision of a simple, affordable car for the masses clashed directly with their goals. They wanted quality, which to them meant slow, meticulous craftsmanship. Henry wanted quantity and efficiency. He was already thinking about standardized parts and streamlined production, ideas that were completely alien at the time. Frustrated and disillusioned, he left the company after just a year. it soon collapsed without him. Failure can be a powerful teacher. Henry learned a crucial lesson. He needed control. He couldn't let investors who didn't share his vision dictate the direction of his work. But how do you attract new investors after a very public failure? You create a spectacle. In the early 1900s, automobile racing was the ultimate marketing tool. It was dangerous, thrilling, and it captured the public's imagination. A fast, reliable car was a rolling advertisement. So, Henry decided to build a race car. He and his small team of mechanics built Sweepstakes, a monstrously powerful but terrifyingly crude machine. It had no body, no hood, and no brakes to speak of. On October 10, 1901, Henry himself, a man who was not a professional racer, climbed behind the wheel to race against Alexander Winton, the most famous and successful racer in America. The odds were stacked against him. Winton was the champion, the favorite. But Henry had a secret weapon, his understanding of mechanics. He knew his machine inside and out. During the race, Winton's car started to fail, while Ford's Sweepstakes held together. In a shocking upset, Henry Ford won the race. He was a local hero overnight. This victory was the key. It restored his reputation and attracted new backers, people who now believed in his engineering prowess, even if they didn't fully grasp his grand vision. This led to his second company, the Henry Ford Company. But history repeated itself. His new chief investor, a man named Henry Leland, was a brilliant engineer, but, like the others, he wanted to build high-end cars. The conflict was inevitable. Once again, Henry Ford walked away from his own company. As a side note, that company was later renamed the Cadillac Automobile Company. So here he was, twice a failure in the eyes of the business world. He was nearly 40 years old. He had a family to support. Many people would have given up, gone back to a safe engineering job, and chalked it all up to experience. But Henry's vision was more than just a business plan. It was an obsession. He knew he was right. He just needed the right team and the right circumstances. He went back to racing, building even faster cars, the 999 and the Arrow. This time, he hired a daredevil bicycle racer named Barney Oldfield to drive them. Oldfield became a national celebrity, and the name Ford became synonymous with speed and reliability. With this renewed fame, Henry finally found the right partner, a Detroit coal dealer named Alexander Malcolmson. Malcolmson believed in Henry's vision of a car for the common man. Together, on June 16, 1903, they founded the Ford Motor Company. This time, Henry made sure he had controlling interest and the final say on all engineering decisions. They started in a small converted wagon factory on Mack Avenue, not much bigger than a modern-day auto repair shop. The initial capital was just $28,000, and much of that was in the form of tools and promised parts from suppliers. They were running on fumes from day one. In the first month, their bank account dwindled to just over $200. The pressure was immense. One more failure, and it would all be over for good. But then, the orders started trickling in. The first car they sold was a model, and then another, and another. By October 1st, 1903, less than 4 months after starting, the Ford Motor Company had turned a profit. They had survived. Henry Ford now had his factory, his company, and his freedom. The journey from the shed behind his house to a profitable business was complete. The even greater journey, the one that would lead to the Model T, and the assembly line that revolutionized not just car manufacturing, but the very fabric of modern life, was just beginning. The story of Henry Ford before he had a factory is a powerful reminder that every great enterprise starts as a simple idea. It's a testament to the power of vision, resilience in the face of failure, and the courage to smash through the walls that stand in your way. So, what's your vision? What shed are you working in? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more.